Welcome to Retrograde Amnesia, a comprehensive podcast series where we relive a classic Japanese RPG, chapter by chapter, beat by beat. Along the way, we delve into the story, dialogue, game mechanics, music, influences, and themes. Through these conversations, we re-experience our lost memories of treasured classics and rediscover why these stories have become so precious to us and to so many others. Season 1 of our podcast covers the 1998 Squaresoft classic, Xenogears. Stay tuned for some additional hot sounds from our first season.
Yeah, I've had those conversations. You're like, that felt good, but, well, they're crying. All right.
Yeah, not great. So, we get another anime flashback.
We get more anime.
You talk as if it's not your responsibility.
No, I didn't do anything.
They died because you had to pilot the gear and start fighting.
Can we go ahead and complain about encounter rates? I had one, like this game, I got out of the battle, and then I took one step, and then the battle music started again. And it just one after the other. I don't know what the RNG is doing in this game, but it's really weird. Big Joe is a portrait character.
Yeah.
It is an important, well, kind of a famously unimportant character for Xenogears, but definitely he calls somebody a big pussy, but it's just --SSY.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or maybe it's just PU and the SSY is cut off. But clearly someone like localized that. Somebody else went, no, you can't do that.
Right in front of like a blood red
moon.
Yeah.
Perfectly symmetrical. Like that screenshot is like a top 5. This is art Xenogears screenshots as far as the framing and the direction of it. Like somebody had this and wanted to make sure this was the featured highlight of this sequence.
My recollection of this game hinges upon this moment. Like this
cool
was the moment in this game in my original playthrough that I was like, this is the game. You know, this is it. This is a great moment. The music kicks in.
It plays Graf, Emperor of Darkness. Graf's theme. Great track.
At some point, we are also introduced to a new concept where Citan says that they must be using that stuff.
Yeah.
And then for one moment, you are wondering, well, what is that stuff? But then you press X on the controller and it scrolls to the next thing. And he says, they are using the drive.
Yes.
And I can think back to our youth. We used to have lots of jokes about the drive.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody drank like 3 Mountain Dews, you're like, oh, that guy's on the drive.
You would get the drive.
Which is, I mean, the drive is essentially a combat drug.
Yeah, it is an M- word. It says drive whenever they reference it. But yeah, we made jokes about that. After Citan beats the shit out of Broyer, he assumes they're all on that stuff.
Yep. So the battle's getting ready to go on, but before anything else can ensue, Bart yells...
We get a voice sample, our first voice sample.
Jerk! Jerk! At everybody. Jerk! And that's the first time we've heard Bart's voice, correct?
Yes.
Jerk! The way Citan interacts in this scene. First of all, if that's true and he doesn't actually note that aloud, then again, fuck off.
Fuck Citan, yeah.
But...
I have his dialogue.
One of the weird things about his dialogue is that he's impressed with everything, even though we know full well this motherfucker's from the skies.
Yeah.
So, you know, shut up, Citan.
But he seems like a storyteller that really sells it to manipulate his own ends. He says, according to legend handed down in Nissan, God could have created humans perfectly, but then humans would not have helped each other. So that is what these great single-winged angels symbolizes. In order to fly, they are dependent on one another. Which is, do you point that as Citan not reading that Bart or Faye can pick up metaphors, or the writers not reading that their players can pick up metaphors?
I think he's trying to explicitly explain to us what this means, but I think what he's saying is not what it actually means.
Okay.
Because go ahead.
Faye says the doc knows about a lot of things. Sometimes I can't understand what he's talking about.
Yeah. I wrote that down too. That was pretty funny.
Fucking artist.
This is going to tie into the next conversation. Bart is completely dense. He's like, go back to, because I'm assuming that when humans created giants and killed God, that God is the Demiurge, which was created by Sophia, if we are to align these narratives together.
It's funny, Xenogears' story gets shit on a lot, but I think the Gnostic reading that you're doing and your knowledge you're applying to this is giving it more credit than a lot of people usually bestow upon it. Like it actually kind of, when you're framing it this way, it seems a lot more intelligent than maybe some people usually consider it.
Giving the ultimate sacrifice in combination with that specific music that we heard in the Church of Sophia is some real good foreshadowing, my dude.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how the organ music played in the Champions Room.
Yeah. Have you noticed that we've gotten like better drips of foreshadowing lately?
They're actually being kind of careful with it as opposed to in your face.
Yeah, the sewer stuff, now this. So we're getting there. So
Initializing fake